Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Today, I stumbled over a video with Nigel Farage, and for people who don't know who Nigel Farage is, Nigel Farage was the architect of Brexit. He was in charge of a little political party in the European Union, and he had a lot of speeches, very interesting speeches that I watched, very intelligent, and he succeeded eventually to, I think he got a UKIP party. He was the president. I don't think he has any affiliations anymore with UKIP, but anyway, after he succeeded in pulling Great Britain out of the BS of the European Union, he started new endeavors. He is a supporter of Trump and so on. So he's a crazy guy, right? Okay, now let's move on. And he claimed that he is going to move out of Great Britain. He looks at this prospect. He tries to move out, and I will tell you why. I have a video here, but before that, please allow me about 20 seconds to tell you something. I don't know if you ever heard about this conspiracy theory that these guys want to get rid of cash as a method of payment and having only card and business card, credit cards or bank accounts, just virtual money, so they can control you. If you say something that you're not supposed to, they just block your account and you're going to be starving. That's how this kind of theories were going around. Now, he seems to be being at the receiving end of something like this, where his bank informed him that he has to close the account over there and move on because he's a special person. Those conspiracy theories, he's going to talk not about the conspiracy theory, he's going to talk about his example, what happened to him, real life example. And you put that in the context of the conspiracy theory, therefore that's going to be denied, disproven, debunked. All right, so let's move on here. We have this article, this video from his, whatever this is, I can remember his location where has this GBN news, that's where he's at. So let's go and see.
Bear in mind, I'd been with the same banking group since
Let me start from the beginning.
2 months ago, I received a phone call from my bank. Now, bear in mind, I'd been with the same banking group since 1980. I've had my personal account there with that group ever since that date. I ran my business through there when I worked in the city in the 1990s into the noughties. And today, I have my personal and business accounts there. But 2 months ago, I get a phone call out of the blue from a personal manager, a new personal manager, not one I'd ever spoken to before, who simply says on a phone call, "We are closing your accounts." I asked why. No reason was given. I was told it would all be explained in a letter that would arrive in a couple of days' time.
They use the letter, this direct experience, so they avoid discussion, a debate. So they're going to inform you. Obviously, they will not cover everything, but they will use the letter method so they can give you this, they buy time, and they do not have to explain anything else. That's how much you need to know. Debate, see you in court.
The letter just told me the accounts are closing, and please, by the date they gave me, make sure you've moved to another bank. I did inquire further within the group. I sent an email to the chairman, and I got someone ring me up and say it's purely a commercial decision.
Commercial decision. I tell you, when I used to work here for someone in America, and that someone used to fire or do all kind of things to his employees, and this was his expression: "It's only business. It's only business." Yeah, but your only business affects my livelihood. What if I have children? What if I have, people that I care for? You fire me, it's only business for you, but for me it's not only business. You screw my life, personally. No, it's personal.
I thought. So I've tried for 2 months to get another bank account, and I've spoken to 7 different banks, and they've all said no. And the reason is, it would seem to be political.
It seems, okay? But 7 banks, they said no.
I don't know precisely what the reason is, but there is a category of person called a PEP, a politically exposed person.
Politically exposed person. Someone like talking too much and maybe having some connections or perceived connections with some unapproved groups. All right, keep talking, Nigel.
The term that came into our law as a result of our membership of the European Union. I'm told that the city minister and the government are thinking about redefining it, but that may take some time. So it could be purely political. It could be, of course, prejudice. After all, I'm pretty used to prejudice that comes from the establishment against me. But I also worried very much that what was said in the House of Commons last year by Chris Bryant, Member of Parliament for South Wales, Labour member, Chairman of the Privileged Committee, who used parliamentary privilege to say that in a calendar year, I'd received £500,000 from the Kremlin. This was done under parliamentary privilege.
Is it true?
I appealed to the Speaker, I appealed to Mr. Bryant, but there'd been no retraction whatsoever.
So is it true? He said no. I said it was not true. I appealed. Nobody said anything.
There have also been extraordinary headlines written about me in all of the newspapers, some suggesting that on the night of the Brexit referendum, I engineered a coup along with the hedge funds where we pushed the pound up, shorted it, and we all made a fortune. Well, I'm afraid that isn't true either. But whatever reason, it's become clear to me that I cannot get a bank account. But what does that mean? Well, it means that basically you've become a non-person.
Oh my God, Nigel! Now you step into the conspiracy theory shit. I never expected that from you.
It's rather like living in Germany or Russia 80 years ago, or perhaps even communist China today. I wonder, are we living in communist China today in this country? Are we akin to communist China? Love your thoughts on that, please. Farage@gbnews.com. But all of this has been quite stressful and quite difficult, because without a bank account, you simply can't exist, you simply can't live.
If you have cash, but who has cash?
But what's even worse is that over the course of the last few months, some of these ridiculous rules and closures have been extended to my immediate family. And whilst I'm sad and annoyed about where I am, I'm absolutely incandescent that members of my family should be singled out and targeted just because I campaigned for and pushed a Brexit campaign for all of those years. This is truly and utterly disgusting. But
is this collective punishment? You can read it in certain kind of scriptures, books.
It isn't just happening to me. I know of people going back nearly 10 years who were UKIP candidates, UKIP MEPs, others in prominent positions in the Brexit Party who also had their bank accounts closed. But none of them really had the voice to speak out. And I feel that I do. There are other people in media too who've had their media accounts closed down. And it seems to be all one way. It seems to be all against people who have traditionalist or conservative views. There is something totally outrageous going on here. So I've been considering over the course of the day my options. I've spent time talking to lawyers. I've been considering legal action. I've been asking myself whether, frankly, it's even worth staying in this country. I could go to one of the fintechs and I could get the ability of at least a payments mechanism, but it's not a bank account. It doesn't have a debit card. It wouldn't pay you interest on money, and you certainly wouldn't be able to borrow any money or get a mortgage if you wanted one in the future. So I've been seriously considering my options. And I said earlier on today that at 7 o'clock tonight, I'd tell you what my next steps were. Well, you could knock me down with a feather, because the phone rang at 7:15, and it was the bank that wants to close me down completely in a few weeks' time. They claim there's nothing political at all in what they're doing. It's purely a commercial decision. And it was said to me on the phone a few minutes ago, they could get me a personal account with another bank that is part of the same group, but that doesn't apply to the business account, so frankly, isn't of much use to me. I'm used to battling against the odds. I'm used to being prejudiced against in the most extraordinary way. And I'm generally pretty tough in fighting through these things. But just for once, I'm really pretty thoughtful about whether it's actually worth living in this country right at the moment. So what I am going to do is take some time off, take a week or two off, maybe more, to consider what my next steps are going to be. This is going on in our country. It's happening to plenty of people. I just happen to be one of them. But you know what? Unless this rot is stopped, in time to come, you at home may say things on Facebook or Twitter that may result in you losing your bank accounts too. That, I think, is how scary this whole thing is.
All right, my friends, that's his experience. This is his story. You can choose to ignore it, or you can choose to obviously analyze it and look at the consequences and the direction. Because if that happened to him, the same. Remember, Donald Trump was still, at that point, the elected president of the United States of America in January, and he was banned from Facebook, he was banned from Twitter while he was the president. Now, if they can do that to them, to that guy, and that's exactly why they do it, and that's why you hear about it, because they are use this kind of examples as a reminder to you that if that happened to them, it's nothing to happen to you or I. So he said it happened to other people that you're maybe not aware of, but I wouldn't discard it to, oh my God, this is the first time it happened. Now let's go back to that conspiracy theory. He has a way out. He's not yet, cornered. He's gonna die over there. But you see tendencies. You see little, little tendencies here and there, and you can make, okay, if this is allowed, what's going to be the next step? It's like it's pushed in one direction. It's going to go further and further and further. It's going to continue the momentum. And maybe it's going to accelerate. Maybe there's go down. There's going to be more push, more push. This is not meant to scare anyone. It's just to make us aware that this happened to Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage. Do we know the details of the hanky-panky? I don't. But if you have to know that, if he would say, no, I didn't receive any money from the Russians, and he did, I can guarantee you he would be right now in jail. It would be a court procedure started against him, an investigation, and would have been then a year ago when he demanded those guys to apologize and retract. And they didn't. Now, if he said, I never did that, do you think these guys don't know? This guy knows when Farage farts alone in the bathroom. They know that. And how many times, how long, and how it smells. They know exactly how it stinks. I guarantee you that. So they know if he received a cent for anybody else. And he coming up and saying, hey, I didn't receive anything right here. He must be clean. Otherwise, these guys will grab him by the balls and toss him in a little... cell together with Assange and with Charles Bronson, if he's still around there. I think not Charles Bronson, my favorite actor, but with that big criminal over there. So think about it. Remember, if you don't have cash, you don't pay, and you have a bank account and a card, I'm not going to go into the chip thing. That's how you scan your thing with the chip in your hand and so on. I'm not going to go there, even though, have you seen Elon Musk with his little chip in the brain? I don't want to push it that way, but, there's certain things that, you keep an eye on. An eye, like a hand. They always say like a hand, because that's how they look. They have eyes to the side. When they look at something, you look down one eye, That's how, keep an eye on that one and the other eye on the other one, and keep walking straight in the same time. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.